Welcome back to the Coaching Life Podcast. My name's Pat Martin, here with my good friend, Coach Chris Stewart, the bustling campus of Ohio University.
Indeed.
It's busy today, although I got the best parking space today than I've had in...
Shoot, we could probably see your parking space from our...
Can you see it?
Nah, too much of an angle.
It's right
I
there.
mean, if the camera was right at you, then your car is in the background.
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to incriminate myself there.
It's tough to get.
I was driving down the road and saw the parking spot on the other side of the road.
I do it all the time. You did the U-turn whip.
Yep. Had a lot of good feedback I have from our discussion with Coach Moeller.
Yeah.
It was good. A lot of people enjoyed it.
I got some feedback from that one too.
I had people just said they really enjoyed the story
Right.
that Chaz brought, and we're kind of actually someone said I was fascinated to listen, and I thought someone was on a plane.
Oh.
And it was time to get off the plane to,
And
they're like, can you hold on?
Yeah.
Can you wait a minute? I don't think they waited on him, but says good stuff. But hopefully we can have.
Yeah, he
Coach
seems like he
back
wants
on.
to come back in and has some flexibility to be able to do that. So
Yeah,
as long as he can find a parking space too, we'll have him in
Especially
again.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very busy time. I think we should probably leave it at that, career-wise, for you and me both.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, probably for a lot of people across.
We're not the only ones it's busy for.
And it just kicks in now, an overdrive with the
Right.
students here and classes starting. But you know what? It feels good to see all these students here.
That's what it's meant to be.
There's a time not too long ago where they weren't. It was a cold environment up here, even on the summer days.
The gloomy gray days of
in these times. But
I don't even like saying the word anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's a kind of a blessing. The
It
busyness is kind of a blessing.
The energy level just goes through the roof. It's from one day to the next. I mean, move in is slower. Move in's a slow rise. Move out, the energy level goes from here to here.
Yeah.
Because they're all of a sudden, boom, they're gone.
Yeah.
But
We kind of talked about this yesterday, but just to think about it, all these kids coming in here, a young adult, I don't know what to call them.
If they're from the transfer portal, they could be 24.
I'm very old, so they're kids to me. But the large majority of them, I guess if I say this, there's going to be people out there saying, nah, they're just there to go to visit Court Street. But
that's where they party up here, for those of you not from
most of these people are here to better themselves and, to become, competent professionals, competent citizens. And that's an awesome thought. It really is. It that's
is
the energy that
it
we
makes
feel.
it ffun to work with them. I think that's that's the context. What we were talking about is, a lot of the things that we get to do. I was speaking for myself personally. Getting to work here, oversee students, and then in their employment here, and then teach them in class, and then of course work with the football team. It's fulfilling. It's getting busier, but it's fulfilling, and one of the reasons why it's fulfilling is because you're working. Well, in these contexts, in the students I oversee here and the football players, every single one of them want to get better. They're hungry and they want to strive to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
And when you have people like that you're leading, makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So it felt good to pull in here and to drive around the streets here. So happy to be here with you today, Coach.
Happy to be here myself.
We've done this before. We're gonna mix it up a little bit, and
Our topic here.
I guess we've done this
not really a
before,
topic, I guess.
in somewhat. But
yeah.
we're gonna do a rapid fire.
And it was fun.
Yeah, and people liked it.
Maybe it wasn't quite as rapid as we had thought it would be because it's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy to have a lot of discussion on each point or each question. Right?
We may not get through all these questions either. There's 10 of them.
10 rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire. Maybe we'll gun for 5 and hold the next.
Then we'll
5
have
for
next week's.
but they're
content ready.
We pulled these out of a hat.
What's that?
People are. It's almost like a political topic these days. It seems like the concept of AI, and because the idea of that we're wasting water,
right?
When we're using
AI.
AI.
Yeah, that's where it becomes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But pulled these out of the AI hat just to challenge ourselves.
It's ethical to let our audience know that we got these questions from. I don't know. You use Claude or ChatGPT?
ChatGPT. Yeah.
Have you messed around with Claude, by the way?
No.
You'd like it.
Really?
It's it's really good with analytics. I'm going to switch to it for just all baseball stuff. I think.
Are you?
Yeah, I had it create I had it create some schedules. Like I went from overseeing 20 students to about 67 students here, and so I had it create some work schedules, and it was really good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, ChatGPT and Gemini is what I use most of the time. But
yeah.
Just so you know, I'm not going to use AI anymore for any of my images.
Are you going to?
I know there's a lot of people out there that'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Took a beating over that this past spring. But I'll look into Claude. And Copilot is something that.
What's that?
OIT, Microsoft Copilot.
That's the AI bot for Microsoft.
We use that a lot. People seem to like it a lot. But I haven't.
It's increasing productivity. In a lot of ways. I mean, granted, that there's the give and take to both. It could also increase the potential to decrease jobs, to lose jobs. But
sure,
I'm sure we, some industries are there, but it can be very, very helpful.
Yep.
Just don't use it for your answers. We have it for our questions. Did you use ChatGPT for your answers too?
Darn it. No, I didn't. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't even know what question 4 is. I am that unprepared because I wanted it to be. But there are a few.
Yeah, I glanced at them last night as well, and there was one in particular that I thought about for extended period of time because I thought, man, that is a really tough question. Then we're going to get to it. I'm confident we'll get to it today because I think it's number 2.
Okay.
But the others, I couldn't tell you what the others are. So I just did a glance. So we're going to get a true, fresh initial response today on these questions.
Yep.
Okay. No preparation other than typing into ChatGPT. Give us a rapid fire list for what was the prompt?
Just coaching related.
I
messed around with a little bit, and it's a good tool to use for podcast topics.
Yeah, to spark creativity. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's like, some people say, if you're making a fire, you need to just make it yourself, right? Make a fire. Well, then we started using lighters. Well, then you get these logs that they're easy to light and they'll burn for an hour, and that's going to cause your fire your real logs to burn. So should you use a fire starter or not? You're making a fire, you still need. That's all this is a fire starter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Good point. I'm fielding calls. You are an older individual. I had to borrow my son's car today to come to Athens, so I'm at that point right now.
Would he drive to school?
They didn't start school.
Oh,
today.
You guys aren't in school yet. And Eastern is not either.
Start Thursday.
They are as well.
But he had a college credit plus class this morning, so
at home.
He went to that. Yeah, and then Jake is just now getting home from work, and we're coordinating the rest of the evening automobiles via text.
There you
here.
go.
We'll be all right.
Gotcha. Multitasking.
Yep. So first question. Started off. Oh, and I'm interested to know what people think about our responses too.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how we match up and how we surprise each other. What is one of the things you wish every parent understood about coaching?
Well, I think what you and I discussed over the last 2 or 3 episodes would answer that question.
Yeah.
So 3 hours worth of answer there. Essentially that a lot more coaching takes place. There's a lot more to coaching than what is seen than what is perceived. Game day and even practice day, there are a lot more things that that you have to do. I was just talking about this with my wife last night, and I'm just gonna be really honest here. I speak candidly here, very candor. I don't know how I'm going to do the off-season stuff like I normally do this year. You and I talk about how because of our jobs and circumstances at Ohio University, they've responsibilities have increased for you and me both. And we've got our first volleyball game this Friday at junior high volleyball game where we do concessions for that. So it's one of our fundraisers, right?
You got to be there at 5 p.m.
Yeah. For these concessions, we've got a lot of kids that play football, a lot of kids that play, kids play multiple sports. And so we don't make them come and work. If their kids aren't doing anything in the fall, we're like, hey, we need help. We need you to come and work. But I just the coaches kind of have taken over this. And so I try to make a commitment to be down there all the time. You feel that responsibility as a head coach. And so I would leave work early on those game days, adjust my schedule a little bit, leave work early on those game days, and go down or go to Dollar General and buy $200 worth of candy. And then I had to order the pizzas the night before and make sure that those are getting delivered. And I'm there meeting the delivery guy. And then you got to wrap the pizzas up. You got to get the warmer. You got to get you got to get the pop and all. I mean, just checklist.
Nothing difficult.
Just stuff. Right. And why are you doing that? To make money for your program. I mean, if we want new uniforms, we have to do that. No one's buying new uniforms for us and things like that. So I think sometimes that level of just time is not quite understood on the whole from so in a general way. Like we're not, obviously there are people who understand, parents who've coached and parents who are involved, and so they understand and they're very grateful. We hear that. I hear how thankful people are, and so I'm not throwing everybody on that. But if there's one thing in general that I think, because when it comes down to it, when you get angry at a coach about something, it's usually not about all the time that they put in. It's about a decision that they made.
Yep.
And that's a really small part of what we're doing, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a big part. I get it. But
that's my thought was, it's difficult. It's difficult to run a program. And I think to be a coach, the amount of time we coach is not a high percentage based on, everything else that we need to do. And for me, it's not, don't understand. It's not understand how much we do. It's not that. It's understand, one, that it's difficult. Mistakes happen, and there's a completely different perspective than what you have. And I'm very fortunate that I get to and I'm a high school baseball coach. At the same time, I have kids that play other high school sports.
Yeah.
So when I am frustrated, and so here's talk about transparency. I get frustrated when I don't understand decisions that's being made and things that happen.
Yeah.
I get frustrated, but I am blessed that I have this this knowledge that kicks me in the butt and reminds me, it reminds me that this happens to me as well. I make decisions, all the time that frustrate people, and in my mind, I'm like, they don't know the whole story, or they wouldn't be as frustrated,
right?
And so it's easier to set and to see things happen and be like, I don't know the whole story. Nobody knows the whole story, and it's frustrating in the moment. But then you're able to pick the good parts of what you're experiencing there and what you're seeing, and what you're really getting out of it. So that's for sure. I turned that into a completely different topic, but just
that's what happens with rapid fire.
It's true. Just that parents understand that there's so much stuff, and the things that really matter to them in the grand scheme of things really isn't it isn't that important. It's not that big of a deal, and it doesn't. When you talk about from a community and a program and a district perspective, it's not that big of a deal. Not just that for them to understand that, maybe have that perspective a little bit, because I'm able to, and it helps me get through the day sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. You gonna let me read question 2?
Yeah.
So that means you get to answer it
answer
first.
it first.
This is the one, man. This is a good one. This is a really good one. I commend ChatGPT for this one. So here is the question: would you rather? Whenever you have something that begins with "would you rather," it's about to be good. Would you rather have a team full of great athletes or a team full of great teammates? You're on.
So the answer to this question, when I read it, came to me immediately, and then I spent the rest of the time trying to make sure that my answer was the answer that I wanted to say.
Wow, it didn't come to me immediately.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about it right now. This is the one question that I actually thought about through the evening last night when you sent these to me.
It's like, I think inherently I want to question my answer, but my answer is I'd rather have a team of great athletes.
That's my first answer too.
It is.
It is.
This is.
I mulled it around in my mind and asked myself why.
Yeah.
And
so for me,
what's the why?
I feel very comfortable in my ability to generate great teammates out of a group of great athletes. I think the tool is there to build that great team if you have a group of great athletes.
Yeah.
That's why. I think you can have both. And if you have great teammates, if you have a group of great teammates, that might not mean you have a lot of great athletes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think you can, as a coach, I think I can make that, to get both of those.
That's the only way that I was able to come to my conclusion, because in my mind I was taking the answer to the question at face value only, and this is what you have to work with the whole season. Like, you can't build upon it and say, well, I can build great teammates out of athletes, or you're not going to build great athletes.
Not in a season.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you can make them a little better, but great athletes are made over time.
Sure.
And reps. So I was thinking, wow, great athletes, because I want to win, and you can win with great athletes, whether they're great teammates or not. And then on the other hand, I've had teams full of great teammates, and those teams found a way to win, even though they weren't the greatest athletes. And so you can still win and have fun, whereas the great athletes, you're probably going to win, but you may not have fun, and winning should be fun. You have to. In most cases, you would have to, like, that's the goal, is now I got to make these guys a team. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Teach them how to support each other.
The goal for that answer is I got to make these guys a team. The goal for the teammate answer is I got to make these guys better. We got to be able to compete.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with my answer.
Me too.
Give me all the athleticism I can
100%.
get. Listen, that's what college coaches do.
It is.
They go and they
even more so now. They pay for it now.
No college coach goes and looks for a great teammate that's it.
It's true. They're not recruiting great teammates.
No.
I mean, they
love
acknowledge it.
Yes, they want you to be a great teammate.
They acknowledge it, and they tell you that that's what we're looking for when we come to watch you play. But if you, I shouldn't say this. If you slam your helmet down because you struck out, but you can run from home to first in 3.5 seconds, and you hit 3 home runs that day too, you're probably going to play for that college team. For most college teams, there might be a coach that say, "I'm not recruiting you because of the thing." That
and there's probably a line. Too.
There is. So the answer there is just don't do it. That way you're available to 100% of college coaches, as opposed to the percentage that may see that and say, "Not going to take that guy."
Yep.
Because there are some.
Yep, and I feel more comfortable coaching that into a great athlete.
I do
than
too.
Coaching the athlete, the 3.6.
Well, you and I have probably done both, right? We've had to do both. We've had situations where I remember years ago when I was coaching the American Legion team down in Meigs. There's some really great athletes on that team that ran to the state, and a couple of those guys needed a little guidance on how to be a good teammate, because it was look at me, look at me, look at me, and that was in 2007. You know. It's even worse now, that look at me culture is. Yeah,
actually, that was one of the topics that AI spit out is has youth sports turned to become too individualistic instead of team oriented. But
well, maybe for another day.
Maybe another day. Yep. Here's a good one. What's worse for a coach, an uncoachable player or an over-involved parent?
What's worse? So another sort of would you rather question. What's worse, an uncoachable player or an over-involved parent? I wonder how you would define an over-involved parent. Like,
how do you define an uncoachable player?
Yeah, that's true. Because I kind of take responsibility for that.
Have you ever had an uncoachable player?
No.
Me neither. Because here's my thing. An uncoachable player isn't on your team.
Right.
They quit.
Yeah. Because they're going to continue to get coached. And if they are conflicting with that constantly, they either decide to give it up themselves, or I sit down with them and say, listen, this is our standard. And either you're going to rise up to the standard, or you're going to have to choose to do something else. Yeah. You know. So that, in my mind, I immediately went to the over-involved parent. But, it's like there's you can't, there's certain things you can't become over. There is no such thing as being too involved. We need our parents involved. Yeah. So it's a hard answer, because how can you be over-involved? I'm assuming it's negative. It's basically saying a parent who's a helicopter parent, over-involved with their kid.
Why are you doing this?
And their kids, their kids' experience. Because I'm like, I'll take all the over-involved parents we can get.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like especially for that concession stand I just talked about a few minutes ago.
And even deal with a little bit of that to get them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
But it's kind of a cop-out. But
maybe the answer then is I'd rather have the over-involved parent, because an uncoachable player isn't going to be with me anyway, so I won't have him.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. That's a good one.
I can get rid of the uncoachable player. Yeah. You can't get rid of the over-involved parent, like the negative over-involved parent, right?
You can. There's probably ways.
Yeah, I guess you could. You could get rid of the player of the over-involved.
Yeah, right.
But what if that's your great athlete? From
true.
Question 2.
That's true. That's true.
Number 4. Should every... we talk about this exhaustively.
I would love to hear...
You want to skip this one? Let's throw it out there. Should every player on a high school team get playing time? That's hard. Like, what team are we talking about? Baseball, soccer, football, basketball,
I don't think
volleyball,
it matters.
Wrestling,
I don't
track,
think it matters.
Golf.
No, I don't think it matters.
Playing time is different because of the sport. Chaz talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Most sports, you can run multiple athletes on and off the field or court all throughout the game without penalty. But in the game of baseball and in the game of golf, you got to decide, in track, you got to decide who's competing, right? Maybe they all get to compete, but only so many count. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, a team, a big enough team creates a problem.
Yeah.
A small enough team.
Yeah, you have to qualify, right? Yeah. In baseball, you kind of have to qualify too. You got to qualify for the lineup that day.
Sure. Yeah, the answer's no.
Should every player get playing time? I'm assuming the rest of that question is in every game, or in a game.
And the answer's no.
Or even in the season, I guess. I don't know.
Playing time is a individual statistic.
It is.
And we don't do anything in sports to increase an individual's statistics, intentionally. Of course we want our guys to, hit 5 home runs, in the season, and steal a bunch of bases, and we want everyone to hit over 300. And, of course, we want their individuals, but we don't make decisions that could could hinder the team so that person could have better statistics. And to me, that's what saying, well, I'm going to make sure this kid gets playing time does. Playing, and a lot of people, I guess you could ask what level too.
Right. Well, it says high school.
High school. So I think there's some flexibility there when you talk about a junior varsity team. And surprise,
if you're not getting much playing time on the varsity team, you're going to get playing time on the junior varsity team.
And they've changed the rules recently that in baseball that we can sub guys in the junior varsity games.
So you can do that in JV games.
We should do that for varsity. It gives you no competitive advantage. Listen, your best 9 are starting. Your best 9 starting though.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with that.
And if you take one of those out, you're never going to get any better.
So you're saying re-enter as many, even re-enter the sub if you want.
Yes, we should be able to re-enter
and re-enter the starter more than once.
Yeah, we should. There's no.
You only have 7 innings to do all that, so it's still a challenge, a chess game. Yeah,
and if you want to make around running for your catcher and pitcher, or running for a player, if you want to make rules around that, fine. Pinch runners, maybe you put a rule. I
guess the issue is we should flesh this out. Because once you enter in like let's say I enter a sub for a guy, and then
they got to stay in the same spot.
They have to stay in that, and you pull him out, but you kind of want to enter him again at the end of the game. He's definitely got to go back into that same spot again. Yeah, but so basically 2 guys are locked into each other, 2 or 3, however many.
Yeah,
they're all locked into that same lineup slot the entire game once they've been committed to that spot.
Right. It's kind of like
I'd vote yes for that. I think.
I don't know. I'd like to know the reason why we wouldn't, and because it just what it does.
They're changing rules at the MLB level every day.
They change it at the high school level every year too. It just allows you, based on the flow of the game, it allows you to more flexibility to get players in the game.
Well, and another way to handle that from a baseball perspective is to have an EH, have one additional spot in your batting lineup, so you have 10 hitters now, and you use that spot to enter in a lot of different people.
Yeah, they don't get to play the field,
but it's just one spot.
Yeah, I think that should be considered.
Well, yeah, that's true, because your extra hitter isn't necessarily unlimited. Yeah, it would just be.
I don't know the softball rule, but
I can't remember how that works.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. We're not rapid. We're not going rapidly enough.
No, we're not. Biggest mistake young coaches make. What is it?
What is the biggest mistake young coaches make? I think I've answered this a couple different ways over the years that we've been podcasting together. I think one time I answered this by saying one of the biggest mistakes young coaches make is we've all learned from someone. We've all been mentored or influenced by someone. And so we go into coaching trying to coach like that person a little too much, and it may not be our same personality.
That's a great
It's one thing to learn from somebody that went before you, somebody that mentored you or you've been influenced by. It's another thing to utilize maybe their same strategy and game plans and things like that, those kinds of things. But if you're not a yeller, but your mentor was, and you try to, it's not who you are, and it's gonna.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Really, that's a really good answer. I was thinking, maybe kind of on the same lines, but pushing a certain system. Mm-hmm. Not being aware of the kids that you're on your team that you're coming into, in the program that you're coming into, and applying. I think everyone has to, based on the situation, you have to, establish the standard.
Sure.
But maybe understanding that, my first job as a varsity coach, the team that I coached, I was their third head coach. And that's tough. That's
It
tough
is.
for a high school kid to deal with.
It is.
Having that many coaches. So, I'm a big focus of mine was I don't want to, coming in, I don't want to rock the boat too much. I want them to feel comfortable and ready to play baseball. I don't want to come in there as a dictator and say this is exactly how things are going to run. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that they had ways that they were doing things, maybe a couple of different ways, and they were being successful, and it may have been different than what you would want to do.
Sure.
You had to make a decision at that point to say,
right.
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. And there's, some things you're not flexible in, some things I think you have to be flexible.
I think as a young coach, sometimes there is this tendency to say, I'm going to come in and set my, this is the way I do things. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Maybe we will get through these.
Maybe we're 30 minutes in or so.
We can get through another list next week.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. 6. Would you rather be respected by your players or liked by your players? I remember reading this one. I didn't think very long on this one.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer is respected, but I can tell you this:
It's hard.
Well, I am very. It's my weakness. It's as a person.
Oh, wanting to be liked.
Sure. Yeah, I really I like to be liked by people. You know what I mean? So, and that causes all kind of problems as a head coach.
It does.
That desire to be liked
I think we all have that a little bit, right? No, but I don't think anybody likes to be hated. Maybe there's some rare people out there, or likes to be just.
It bothers some people more than others.
Yes,
it bothers me a lot.
Think about it. If somebody, yeah.
But that was the grapevine message board stab against Coach Martin when I first started coaching was he's not going to be able to handle the parents and the players because he's too likable. He likes to be liked, but I learned to deal with it. That I want to be you to be effective, to be an effective leader and an effective mentor. You have to be respected.
Yeah, especially by your players. Like I don't know. Some people would say, well, if you're liked, you're respected too. That's not necessarily true when it comes to coaching, because you can be liked like a buddy, but then when you demand something of these players that are playing for you, and they don't want to do it, they'll be like, I really have to do that, and just that response right there is disrespectful.
Yep.
But if you say, this is what I need you to do, and they jump and do it, that's what it means to be on an athletic team.
Yeah.
That's the response that you should have.
Yeah. And that's a part of the lesson that you gain from participating as well. So I'd say it's rooted in the higher goal of,
And I believe that you can create that respect in a likable way.
Sure.
Yeah, and it doesn't work for everybody. Some people just aren't. They're not going to like it, but they'll still respect it and perform for you.
Yeah, you're talking about generalities,
right?
Because there are players that aren't going to respect you to a certain degree. You got to figure out how to get out of them what you need to get out of them, same way you do the players that do respect you.
Yeah.
And then there's players that like you that you got to figure out how to get the most out of them. So it's
right.
It's inclusive. It's all part of the job, but tough one. Should a coach ever apologize to their team for making a mistake?
Yeah. I did it once in a big way this year, and probably a couple or 3 different times throughout the year in a game situation way. So we had a game where I reacted. I don't even remember what it was now. Isn't that funny? Like it was a big deal then, but I overreacted in a way that after the game, in our little after we repaired the field and we huddle up there, and I reacted in a way that it was embarrassing for me. It was You always hate using the term out of character because I believe you are what your character, what out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. Your heart, you speak your character. And so it was a moment of reality check for me where it's like, man, is this who I really am? Is this who I want to be? And so the next day I apologized to them for that. I said, this is not who I do not want to be that kind of a coach. I do not want to be that kind of a person, and I want you to perceive me in that way. And so I need to rebuild what I tore down last night. And then there were times too throughout the season, a couple times. I mean, I'm a pretty aggressive third base coach, and so I got some runners thrown out in situations where I probably shouldn't have taken that chance, and that's a run.
I'm sure no one.
That's noticed. A run. Right? Yeah, I'm sure no one noticed. But I did. I mean, when I do that, I feel like I should apologize. I feel like really? I don't know. I felt the need to. You know, it was a spur of the moment thing. It was something that I was in full control of, and it cost our team. And so I let them know. That one's on me.
Yeah.
This one's on me. Now things like, we had a guy that was pitching really well. Pitch count was getting up there, and he hadn't thrown that many pitches at all, really, all season long against a really good team, a team that went to the state semifinal in D7, by the way, South Webster. And so he was starting to get hit a little bit, but we were still making the plays, and I was like, let's just go ahead and bring in another guy, to throw that seventh, let's lock this game up, get the save. And the other guy will be my ace next year, and it just wasn't his day. They hit him well.
That's baseball, though. That's always
and so so then you get the reason I'm telling that story is because I didn't apologize for that. Like, because I even had a couple kids say, "Hey, why did we take out Dawson?" And I'm sure maybe I even talked to Dawson. And it was like, well, it's one of those things where you do that regularly. We did it with Ethan earlier in the year, and you could see he's running out of gas. And so I want to get ahead of this, and rather than, that the opponent scoring 4 or 5 runs off of him and then making the switch, do it Tony La Russa's way. I'd rather make a pitching change too early than too late.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I made a pitching change, and maybe if we left him in, we win that game. But that's a coaching decision that just didn't go our way, and so you can't apologize for that. If you apologize for that, then you could be apologizing every game.
Yeah,
because you're going to make mistakes. That wasn't a mistake.
I don't believe that was a mistake. For that? Because when you're in the huddle after the game, what do you say? I put the wrong guy in.
Yeah, exactly.
I shouldn't have.
He already feels like trash anyway.
Exactly.
That kid was in tears because he knew he's a competitor. He's like he wants to win every time he's out there, but he knew he blew the save.
Yeah,
right?
I think if you do something that you would do again the next time.
I would do it again.
Yeah, you can't apologize. I agree with that. Yeah, that's good stuff. I do the same thing. And throughout the course of this season, I said, I can't really remember just talking about where we need to go and what we need to do, and just using the phrase, I need to coach a little better.
Yeah. We all need to be better, and that starts with me.
Yeah, to cover certain things, but there's all kinds of times that I think. You miss things and say I should have done this or I should have done that, and there's things that your example that you feel good about and you probably do it again next time, and then there's other things that you think about and you had an opportunity and you think maybe you're deciding between one or the other and you didn't, ultimately you didn't choose the right one. It comes back to bite you, and those are the ones you feel bad about. But I think and why wouldn't you? It's an ownership thing. You're trying to teach accountability and ownership to a group of young men, and the best teacher is the example, is modeling that. So I would never. I tell our guys it's their team. I play a role like all of them do.
Just like everybody else.
They own the team. There's more owners in their group than there are in my group. So, we want to. I think we want to behave in ways that we want them to behave in, and there's going to be times in life where you need to apologize.
Apology is not weakness.
No, I wouldn't. No, I don't think so.
I mean, it takes courage to do it, right? Humility.
Yeah.
But humility is not weakness.
No.
There was the greatest man that ever walked this earth was humble.
Very.
Yeah.
Thank goodness he was.
Exactly.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. You and I both know why.
Yeah.
Number 8. What's one coaching philosophy you've completely changed your mind about over the years?
I mean,
You're on.
yeah. Just, we've talked about this before too. The shift, I think, as a very young coach, coaching youth sports, you get over involved with the mechanics of the game. Maybe even to a point the strategy of the game, the importance of the coach as opposed to the importance of the coach on the game as importance of the coach on the players or the people that you're coaching. I think that's the biggest shift that I recognize. To me, it's much more important to develop and build the relationship and care about guiding these young people in life than it is in guiding them in the game. And as a younger coach, that was very foreign to me. I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah, you're talking about the transition from coaching a game to coaching the person. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, we talked about that coaching philosophy change back in our earliest episodes of this podcast. Right. And I think for me, I'll give a specific one that, I mean, not that wasn't specific, but one philosophy that I had early on was that I would not speak to parents. I wanted to speak directly to your kids. And I preferred to kind of keep a separation there because you learn from those that have gone before you, and that was the way a lot of old school coaches did it. They didn't want to have any relationship with parents at all.
I do see virtue in that.
Well, maybe, yeah, you might be right. I mean, but it's a different world today too, and so there's over involvement that we have to recognize. But I don't say that anymore. I'm like, I need you guys. I want to a certain extent. I want relationship with you guys. Because we're in this together. We all want this program to succeed. We all want the team to succeed, and of course, we all want your child to succeed as well. Now, I get it. You want your child to succeed a little bit more than the others. I get that. I understand that. But if we all kind of understand where we're coming from, then I think we can be adults here and be able to communicate about things, even if it is playing time, right? I will talk to you about playing time, but it's only going to be about your child's playing time, not somebody else's.
Yeah. I've never set that barrier as a coach.
Good for you. I mean, somebody might say you should. I said good for you, but somebody might say you should, and I did. I've lived in both worlds. I set that barrier, and what you see is you see bitterness continuing to build over there, and and comments being if you could almost put that fire out by having a conversation, and at least they know. At least they see your heart eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah. But you still can see that bitterness.
Either
way,
it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily. It doesn't get rid of the hurt that's in them of what they felt like you did to their kid.
Yeah.
But it at least it provides your perspective as opposed to them assuming what your perspective is.
Yeah, that might be a good discussion to have just on its own someday.
All right.
Maybe you can talk me out of my philosophy. Yeah, this is a weird one, I think. When does holding a player accountable cross the line into being too hard on them? Sounds like AI has some thoughts there that they're not exactly coming out and explaining.
Yeah. Maybe what AI did was it went out and looked at all these videos online of coaches shouting. I saw a meme the other day. It was a video meme that it said it was two different videos, and I can't remember what the first one was, but it said it started with something like this: kids coaches today, the coaches of kids today, and it was like the guy from Saturday. You're good enough. You're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you.
I saw that,
and
too.
then it switches to coaches your parents played for, and it was Augie Garrido saying, "What do you mean you can't effing hit a ball with 2 strikes?" And it's like, oh yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
When does I guess when does it cross the line? When you're abusive,
Yeah, right.
physically or verbally or mentally. That's when it crosses the line.
Sure.
Now everybody defines abuse differently these days.
Yep. And I'm trying to think, like,
Bully.
how do I approach that as a person and a coach? Like, what's my check and balance? I'm kind of just thought that when the emotion of the situation is greater than the purpose of holding the player accountable, you may be in danger of abusing the situation. That may be crossing the line there, because why do we care ultimately that a kid does something they shouldn't do, or they make a mistake, or whatever it is? We should care, not because we're angry, not because it ticks us off, but because we want them to be successful. We want them to overcome this and learn from it and be better. And you can do that without any emotion at all, really.
That's good.
That's probably something that I've picked up watching my kids play football, because I've been so angry at them. Like, but maybe it's less of a coach spectator, but dad spectator thing, and more of a Cleveland Browns fandom thing. I've thought of them as I've thought of Cleveland Browns players, but not, like, especially over the last few years, just not being able to, not having the immediate access to them, I've been able to allow that emotion to go away. And you know what? A lot of times, I don't even bring it up.
Yeah.
I never bring it up. And then other times I'll ask that, what'd you see on film this? What'd you see? Just
right.
And you know what? Sometimes I vent to people that are way smarter about football than I am, and they kind of just shake their head.
They tell you, buddy, that's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, like just deal. So it is what it is.
Yeah, we got bigger issues. Yeah.
So
bigger things to focus on.
Yeah, I think emotion is a big thing, and if there's a lot of emotion involved, that's when things can get dangerous.
Go.
So.
That's good. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
So number 10.
Well, that's it. We made it.
Made it to number 10.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So if you could go back in time, if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice before your first season as a head coach, what would it be? We'll say first high school season.
Someone did give me this piece of advice, but
now you would go back and give it to yourself again and say, listen, dummy.
Yes, I think I would. And it's something that probably I would. And over the last couple of years, I have done it. And it's enjoy every win.
Yeah.
Celebrate every win. Every win that you have is a good win. Because sometimes they don't come easy. My goodness, sometimes they don't come easy. And then, that from a win-loss perspective, my first season has been my best season, from a win-loss perspective. Not my best coaching season, but it's from that perspective, we won the most games that year, and I was nervous and wanting to had a bunch of pressure put on myself, and I felt like from outside perception and things like that. So maybe I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value. Like in my mind, that's very good advice based on what I've experienced so far is enjoy the victories. And I would say that's true, not just, in games, but anything that you're able to succeed with as a team and, the good times and things like that. Mm-hmm. Enjoy those moments because that's, it's hard to find those sometimes.
It is. It's kind of a tough one.
It is tough because there's a lot of things.
It overlaps a lot with things we've talked about here and some of these other questions. But I think if I could give myself one piece of advice before my first season as head coach, it would probably be you've got to find release valve. Like coaching is stressful. You got to be able to turn it off. You have to be able to turn it off at times. Coach Signetti is really good at this. Indiana football's head coach, and people talk about this a lot with him and how he structures his practices and his meetings with his coaching staff, and he tells them, if we're going to practice for 3 hours, we're going to practice for 3 hours. If this meeting is going to last 3 hours, you're going to be home with your family in 3.5 hours, however long it takes you to get home. We're not going overtime. We're just not doing it. I'm not going to. That time is valuable, and when you leave, shut it off. Go home and play with your kids. Go home and be with your wife. Go home and enjoy something different. And this is something I still struggle with today, but back then I didn't even consider. It wasn't a consideration. I just was consumed by it, and so I guess this isn't something I would go back and tell myself after my first season. I need to tell myself this every year because it's hard. It's something that you've got to figure out a way. And even for the person who's like, I just love baseball so much, I can't turn it off. I'm not going to turn. I don't want to turn it off. I can't turn. Well, here's the thing. Guarantee you that wife that you have at home loves you more than baseball. I guarantee you love her more than baseball. And I guarantee you those kids love you more than your love of baseball. And they are not going to understand that response from you. They're not going to hear it like what you feel. I understand it. I get it because I'm a baseball coach and I love baseball too. And I get you're not saying that you love it more than your wife, but they might hear it differently, and you can't risk that.
Yeah, that's good. It's convicting too because
that's why we're here, brother. We're here for each other.
I do. I do think, but I often think, am I doing enough? I'm intentional about saying, am I spending enough time with my wife and my kids? But I evaluate, am I doing enough? And the thing is, yes, I love baseball too, but it always goes back to what's our mission, what's our purpose, what are we doing this for, what are we trying to accomplish? And I spend so much time at the baseball field. I know that I do. I need to make sure that the example that I'm putting out there, and we're trying to develop young men and fathers and husbands, and we can't do that. Baseball can't be the top priority.
Yeah,
it just can't. Not all the time.
Right.
Sometimes it can. You got to be where your feet are.
Right.
We use that phrase a lot. And there's a time when it has to demand 99% of your focus.
Yeah.
But there's also that you have to be intentional about making sure that there are times that it doesn't, because there are times that your family has to demand 100% of your focus.
Yep.
Because it's the most important thing you have in life. And if you're not a steward to that, you're never going to be the coach that you want to be. You're never going to be able to give your program and your players everything that they need to be successful, because you're not showing them, you're not giving them a model of what you want them to become.
Yeah, all of those players that you're coaching are going to leave one day. I mean, they're going to go out and have families and do other things. Your family is always there, and if you're so basically what you're building it's going to get really lonely for you if you don't have something else to do or somebody else to go to, and spend that quality time with outside of the game.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of that, you even say that I would say if dad coaches get wrapped up in spending all that. Well, it's all about baseball, but I'm spending time with my son. Well, guess what? That just what you said is true. And I've thought about this a lot, just in life in general. What's life going to be when, the kids have their own separate lives, and they're out of the house and it's just you and your wife? How is that going to change things? And, it's going to be a lot more if you're not prioritizing that, and you're not you're not focused on that, it's going to be difficult a little bit.
When I was in college, I had an interpersonal communications class, and it was really good. It was probably my favorite class in college. I was communication major, Bible preaching. I had a whole bunch of different things I was doing, and we had a project to write a thesis on something that we had been studying in that class all semester. And I did my project on relationships and the stages of relationship, and how they grow. Like every relationship has these phases they go through. Contact stage is number one. Like you can't have a relationship with somebody unless you come into contact with them, right? So that's one. Two is involvement stage. So if you come into contact with somebody, relationship scholars will tell you that within 14 seconds, your subconscious mind will tell you whether or not you want to continue a relationship with this person. Like, you just know, this is somebody I'd like to, we got some things in common. So you invite that person for coffee or something, or maybe this is like where dating relationships really, you may say, we're good, we tried it, we don't need to see each other again. Or you may say, let's go on another date, right? And so you get involved. And then as you get involved and you do more things and you find that you have things in common, you're eventually building something called intimacy. And intimacy is where all good best friend marriage relationship should be there. Your friend, that's where this is a person that them better than they know, as well as they know you, and vice versa. They could start to say something and you could finish the sentence. You know them that well. And if you don't continue intimacy, if you don't build on that intimacy, there's actually a fourth and fifth stage. The fourth stage is deterioration, and a fifth stage is dissolution. And you don't want to get to those fourth and fifth stages. But it's not static. You can't get to intimacy and say, "Oh, we made it. Let's just stay here." You got to keep working on it. Otherwise, you go into deterioration. And I started that story to tell you this. One of the projects one of the questions one of the things that I noticed, it was a research project. I researched divorces in the United States and looked at Gallup polls, or different kind of George Barna polls and all those different polls. Why do people say they got divorced? And a lot of people said, after the fact in those polls, why they got divorced is they felt like they were living with a stranger after a while. And then you did some study and you realized this couple had a child. They were married for a few years and then they had a child, and then maybe after a couple of years they had another child. Right? Well, those children are living in your house for, 17, 18 years. And while they're there, how are you communicating with your wife?
As their parent.
Yes. Are you still continuing to build intimacy with your spouse? Or does your communication sound like this? Hey, buddy, talking to the son, Hey, I'll use my kids as an example. Hey, Brock, doesn't mommy look pretty today? Oh, yeah, she does. And you feel like you're complimenting your wife, but you're not. You're speaking to her through the child. And so if you have 18 years of that kind of communication, that's kind of redirected communication through the child, you're actually talking to the kids and you're doing things with the kids, even though your spouse is there with you. Most of your communication is with your kids. Then those kids leave the house, they graduate, they go to college, or they get jobs of their own, families of their own. Then all of a sudden, who's left? You and this stranger
that
you once knew 18, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That's why people say, I feel like I'm living with a stranger. I don't even know how to talk. They go out on dates and they don't have a clue how to talk to each other anymore. And eventually it's like, I guess we don't love each other, and they get divorced. And it was such a shocking thing to me. This is kind of funny. If my parents listen, they'll remember this day. I remember going to them and saying, hey, you guys have been like loving each other, right? Because my brother's about to graduate and he's going to leave, and I want you guys to. And they're like, we're good. And you can tell because they speak to one another. They speak to one another. You don't call your wife mommy, right? She doesn't call you. She might call you daddy, but that might be a different podcast. So, but no, it's proven. It's true. I mean, you got it because it's all about intimacy, relationships. If you're not continuing to develop intimacy, then you might be you might have a whole bunch of acquaintances. Like we can't have intimacy with everybody. I'm talking about deep relationship intimacy, not it's all physical intimacy, but just friendship intimacy and communication intimacy. And if you don't have that with the person that you love the most in this world, you got to better work on it. Yeah,
that's a good word.
I didn't mean to preach that sermon there. That's kind of the relationship sermon, but
I think it's beneficial. I'd say that's beneficial for every scope of the audience that we
probably
wish to
so.
extend
Absolutely,
to.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
This was a good little journey today. Good.
Yeah, it was.
Good idea.
Do this again sometime.
Do some more. Yeah.
Probably when we can't come up with another topic.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Coach. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, no. No hopeful. No hoping. Got to make it happen.
At some point, we'll see you next week.
That's right.
See you.